Hey everybody, hello and welcome to today's Adobe Live Education Edition. Today's episode 2, y'all, and we're talking designs that get noticed. Cosma, I'm one of the education evangelists here at Adobe, and I am so excited to welcome one of my dynamic teammates and longtime friends, Rebecca Hare. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, Anne, thank you so much for having me. It's a long time I haven't been on a live stream, so I'll be a little rusty, so you have to shake off the rust and get going. But
I
thank you so
got
much
you.
for
I
having me.
got
I'm
you.
so excited to chat with everybody.
Well, we're so excited to have you not only share your thought leadership, but dig into designs. And I wanted to start simply by asking Rebecca, you said it's been a little bit since you've been on a live stream. Would you introduce yourself? Tell everybody about your role, what it is you do at Adobe, and then I'll tell them a little bit about what we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. I have the incredible pleasure to lead our content strategy for content and curriculum across our Adobe products that we work on for students and teachers. So if you've ever used a guided activity, that's my incredible team that does that work. If you've done any of our self-paced learning in the product or been to our PD or engaged with any of our curricular templates, I have an incredible team that we work with that creates that, all former teachers. And we work, of course, probably many of you have worked with us. We work with educators to make sure everything we create is validated, tested, and is ready to go in the classroom. So my team is small but mighty. And I've been working on that ever since, I guess it's been like 2 years. So
Nice.
it's been a little bit, I think, since I've been on.
Validated, tested, ready to use, a team of educators building for the community, with the community to
Exactly.
transform possibility. Rebecca, y'all are doing the coolest stuff, and I love sharing what you and your teammate create, what your team creates. And today we're digging a little bit deeper into it. It's episode 2 of our design series. Last month we were talking about balance and movement and the flow on a page. Today, we're talking designs that get noticed, all about visual hierarchy, contrast, iteration. And really, Rebecca, what this is learners who are learning how like visual hierarchy and contrast controls attention,
Mhm.
communicates ideas clearly, and like guides people into the design with purpose, with intention. And of course, this session is for everybody, for beginners to experts. You're going to think like a designer, create something cool, but also make intentional visual decisions. So, hierarchy and contrast, two of the principles we're digging into today.
Yeah, awesome. Do you want to jump into a template and look at something?
Yeah, let's actually jump in. I know you're going to share your screen, and while we're getting that pulled up, I want to say hello to the folks in the chat. We see folks saying, "Hi, everybody. Hello." I know Mr. Brad Nance is on, I think with his students, visual media arts students. So if y'all are in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from and what you love about designing with Adobe Express. I definitely have the chat open just off screen, so I'll be paying attention to that. You got your screen up, Rebecca. So like, let's
Yep.
jump in to that design and literally start talking. And then in a little bit, let's revisit some from the community too.
Awesome. Well, we have our current monthly creative challenge focused on design, which is this t-shirt design, but I'll jump into last month's one if that's okay with you, Anne.
Yeah, let's go there
And
first.
so if you're ever wondering like, hey, I saw this thing, it was really cool over here in the corner, but now it's changed to something else that's cool, you just can go over here to try fun guided activities. This drops you right into the learn panel. So you'll see all of our guided activities that we've done. And we've made more than 70 now. So it's really exciting to see this. And if you don't know what a guided activity is, all it is a template that's been designed with our team in collaboration with we have an entire team of designers who then make sure it's beautiful and like yummy and wonderful to work in. But you'll see on the left, there's this left panel. This is actually where your instructions are. So we have a little mini video. So you can actually pop that video out and you can make it bigger. You even have captions. I'll push play on this for a second. You see like this is learn, emphasis, and movement. And so then if I want captions, I actually have captions in English and Spanish. We're looking to get more languages supported soon. So I can click that out and you can actually see what is down below. So then you can actually work and you can learn right in the same place. This actually is, we did this because we knew that so often kids and teachers were going back and forth from like
Yeah.
YouTube videos into the tool. This lets you be in the same space at exactly the same time. So we have the video that teaches you about the skills. So you can watch that. We'll go live today and talk about it. And you have instructions that you can share. I'll go ahead and just shut those captions off. You have instructions. And so actually, if you hover over these, you'll see like what the graphics look like and instructions. You can even click through these so your students can be like, okay, what did I do? What have I tried next? So this is our instruction panel. So then we have our template over here. So Anne, talking about like emphasis and movement and this one. So this is one's about learning about emphasis and movement. I'll ask
Yeah.
you, a really great way to like emphasis is one of the first things when I taught design, which we'd focus on. And it's one of the principles of art and design. And so I know a lot of people get like nervous when you think about like the elements and principles of art and design, because it feels like you're going to get a test.
Yeah.
And no one's going to test anybody on it. And it's okay not to know what they always are, but they do dictate how someone interacts with the work that we create. And so
Yeah.
when we can learn what they are, it helps us to be better communicators and be more intentional with the work that we create.
And
So
I think, Rebecca, too, like being intentional and what you just said gives me like a calm, excited feeling because I didn't go to design school. I don't have a background in graphic arts. I was an elementary school teacher and then an innovation coach in my district before moving over to this side of community work. But you just hit the nail on the head. Like there's intention, there's purpose. And especially with like the visual layout of something, how our eyes move through the
mhm.
patterns. And this one, follow the sound, I love so much because there's so many things we notice right away. And I'm curious what you're going to say about it next.
Yeah. So, one of the great ways to figure out what the emphasis of something, there's like a photograph or any kind of graphic, is that this is a point that you want the viewer to like come in and look at. It's going to be like the main subject sometimes. Maybe it can be a word. It doesn't really matter what it is. And in a later design series, we can get into like the golden ratio and like the rule of thirds and other kinds of like intentional ways that you like lay out your design. But right now, we're just going to think about like there's a moment that I look into. So the way to figure out what the emphasis is, if you're not sure, is to kind of like fuzzy your eyes a little bit, and then just like what is the thing that you see, the first thing that you see. And so if you fuzzy your eyes right now on the screen and look at the poster, what's the first thing you see, Anne?
I mean, I noticed the headphones because it's the largest item on the screen.
It's large side on the screen, right? So what happens, there's a couple of things I can do. It's giving me some quick tips. I'm going to take this, actually, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to, I can move this. I can do this. I can just make it smaller.
Rebecca, as you're moving that and playing with the size, we've got a question in the chat. This is a good, like fuzzing your eyes. Like somebody goes, how do I do that? I just kind of relaxed into the screen. I kind of, my body, like just, I kind of exhaled and just kind of let him go. Do you have any pro
Yeah.
tips? Because
Yeah,
that's
you
a
don't
cool
focus on
tip.
anything. Closing your eyes to the point that like there's not a real, you have a soft focus is a good way to do it. Another thing you can do is just like, so it's like soft focusing your eyes, kind of like closing to the point. So then you just see almost see the different shapes. So like I just made this one smaller. So this is now, if I look at this, even if I move it down here, like, or
Yeah.
like what if I just moved it completely off? Now, like what's the first thing that you're going to notice? It's
I
it's going to
mean,
change.
the
It's
words on
probably
the, yeah.
yeah, one of the top or the bottom ones. Another thing I can do, so this is where like contrast and having like that intentional. So like right now, again, like wow, this became big again. If I go to my edit, I can actually take this and I'm going to play with the opacity. So now it's on here, but
Oh,
like now, of course, it's no longer like the main feature again. So
yeah.
emphasis is the moment of like where we want the eye to bring in, and we want to bring people in. So that's one of the pieces with this that we think about. Then movement is how we want them to be looking. Like think about every element we put in our artwork or our design are like little arrows that point to something else.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to draw the viewer to look in, because the objective of a designer and an artist is I want to keep you looking at my work as long as I can. So if I put a big arrow that's off screen or off of my poster, you're going to go like that. So when we
Hmm.
say emphasis, that's where we want the first moment that the user notices that from across the room or some place or within our screen. And then movement is how the eye, it's not the movement on the thing, it's not somebody running. When I would teach, I would like, oh, movement, do I need to have a runner? Like, should I be someone be dancing? It's like, it's not the artwork that's moving, it's
Yeah.
the eye that's moving
Okay.
from the viewer. So this is a really fun. So like, you want to jump in and look at some of the student examples and we can see what they've done and look at emphasis and movement there.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So I know that you and I have like a little collaborative project going on. When you open that up, we actually have some examples from our former teammates or from our former like community members who have we have not seen them yet before. This is our current teammate, not a former teammate. I don't even know why that word former came up. This one says capture the moment. So Claudio Zavala Jr. is one of the other education evangelists. He is, shares dynamic content on YouTube. He actually also loves photography. So I love that this example is centered on that old school kind of like camera. That to me, the center focal point of that camera lens is what captures my eye first. And
Yep.
I jump right into that. But I love how capture and moments are big, bold, and then of course supporting text with the, but I like flow through it top to bottom. And that's what I noticed first. What do you notice about this
Yeah,
design?
I think you're spot on. And what's so great about like when you talk through the principles, especially with like new designers, is that there's no right or wrong answer because all it is it's trying to give you vocabulary
Yeah.
to explain what you're seeing. And so it's not that there's no testing. What you said was totally right. And actually what we know as designers is like circles are like we like humans like to look at eyes. We know we like to look at faces. So a really great oftentimes you'll like if you're going to look at a magazine cover or poster, there's a person there looking at the camera, that will be your emphasis. It'll be drawing you into the eyes. And then we also follow where eyes go. So this like the lens in this case acts I think like an eye, and then
Yeah.
of course the lines of the strap is taking you around, and it's actually like it's like a circle that's intentionally bringing you around from like capture and down to moments. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
actually balanced this on either side. It's a very different design if like if we made everything smaller, we move something around. So that's what's really fun is like to when I have students do this kind of work, and what I love to work in graphic design or like in Express or other tools like my favorite tool is Illustrator, is that then I have students make multiple versions of this, just like duplicate this page and then move everything around again. Then what do you notice?
Yeah.
Because no one is born, Anne, a designer. Designers are made by doing the work and doing the work and then doing lots of work that they don't like. And usually like out of one out of every 10 designs you're going to like. So doing lots of work is actually how you get better.
I love that. It's like iteration and reps, just keep going. Let's go to the next screen. The next two are also Claudio's, and he's going through his bicycle example, which is slide 2, ride for fun. Another passion of him, trail riding, like mountain bike riding, and ride for fun. I love the design of the tilt of the bike. And that word fun pops out to me with the angle of the bike on screen
Yep.
because I can't do a wheelie on my bike, but the way that the words pop make it feel even like it's an adventure of like just the concept of riding for fun.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm going to take this because I know Claudio won't get mad. Are these graphics or are there something
No,
I
there I downloaded the picture so
Oh, they're
then
pictures. If
style
we
it.
rotated that bike and set it at the very bottom of the
Oh,
scene, it would be a totally different graphic.
yep.
And so like part of like we talk about the movement is also like creating like those dynamic, creating diagonals and things that builds excitement. And so again, like you're articulating everything that like the same thing with these shoes.
Yeah.
The boots are like on kind of at a tilt. And so sometimes rotating something a little bit, emphasize also bringing things off of like, so if I took this, I think I can actually click on this. If I just made this a little bit bigger,
Oh,
like
yeah.
what is that? How different is that now? Like forget
Yeah.
about the words. Like then, you can actually taking things off center, I'll take that away. But this is another kind of example of how like a slight tilt we're seeing underneath the boot. And like then remember we talked about the principles, but like the elements, like there's like this boot acts as like a line. It's a shape that it's like it's an organic shape, but it also kind of like the heel of this acts like a line. We have lines in there. All those lines are directing our eyes to see different things.
That's so cool to hear you talk about like what you see, of course, because you are a subject matter expert in design and I love to tinker and create. And I love how everybody, like the visual experience and how we engage as consumers is unique to each of us. But like what you just pointed out, I would have never considered the sole of the shoe. Like it is a diagonal line, but also those supporting words with and
Yeah.
on are literally at either end of that
Yeah.
line. Oh, that's so cool.
And
Well,
that's
the
why it's like,
next,
and I promise you, Claudio, this is probably version 5. There's no way this is his first one, and he's an incredible designer. This
Yeah,
is by staying in a really playful space. So I would always, like I say to my students, that, you don't want to like too early come in on your final idea.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
coming up with lots of ideas, staying in a playful space, being open to new ideas is actually where you're going to find something that's really cool. There's research studies that show that your first 7 ideas are not original. So like pushing past and trying to do more things and spending a couple minutes tinkering and then duplicating and moving on is actually how you're going to really quickly build like just not only the skills within the tools, but actually the skills within yourself to see things better. Because really designing isn't just the ability to move things around within a digital environment. It's really being able to see and being able to see things better. And when you can see things, then you can actually like be more intentional with how you're creating.
Okay, pro tips. I love that. Thank you. Well, this is coming from our community, Eve Heaton, and Eve was doing this with her students. She is a tech coach, also one of our awesome Adobe Creative Educator Innovators out of Beaufort County, South School District in South Carolina. But they teamed up and actually went through a lot of resizing iterations and landed on their finals. But I love this one. They had a lot of sports designs. Hitting goals with power. And I love that. Almost like, even though it's a small element in there, the badminton racket comes through with power because you can see the like
Yeah.
the the silhouette of the like sportswoman, sports person is so contrasted with the red, bright power background and the big, bold words. I love that. And even though the motion of the badminton racket is just coming right in above that word power, I love everything about this.
Yeah, it's a really fun design. I think like this is where I think that, like what happens if the user hadn't turned the contrast up so it's a silhouette? It'd be a very different image,
Mhm.
right? They put a really powerful red background. Color does a lot for us. We're not even talking about color and we can like already feel how it does things. What I think is really fun with this one is that, of course, we've got that line from that badminton racket, but also like you did this yourself and we all know what's happening, like what's going
Yeah,
to happen next. And so this creates it's a dynamic, it's got a lot of energy to it. And so it brings a lot of energy. And this is why if you think about like ads from our favorite sports, our favorite sports brands, they're really dynamic. No one's ever like just sitting. And because these kind of dynamic
yeah,
poses of movement, they're explosive and they make us feel something. They make us feel that energy. This has a lot of energy because we all know what's happening, what's going to happen with this.
yeah.
And I think that like the contrast is actually really key to the success of this design.
Yeah, I mean, even like the movement in the hair and the body as they're getting ready to, hit the birdie. I love this one. The next one made me smile big time. So it evokes a sense of like urgency to me. This is another one of our awesome Adobe Creative Educator innovators, Shira Moskowitz out of New York City, in class with Mrs. M, shared on social this design. And I love that it's like leave on time. So the busyness and hustle and bustle of a morning in New York City, but getting to school on time. And I love the overlap of the text on the image,
Mhm.
literally as like a center point because it's leave, time, and then it's like, oh yeah, no matter what mode of transportation.
Yeah, and it's fun because like the creator could have chosen somebody running
Mhm.
and chose transportation. It was really intentional. So like what we do as a viewer is that we actually bring in all of our knowledge of this kind of like of the subway train. And we see people getting on in our minds and we imagine like the crowd and the crush inside of it and like the urgency of doors shutting. So like all of these things evoke this for us. And what I think is actually fun, I don't know how intentional this is, but I like it, is that like the front what we're going to perceive as the front of the train in this case because it's coming at us is like almost breaking into the on.
Yeah.
So, like this might be the end of the train and it's going the opposite direction. So like that's actually like you could have a whole conversation with your class of like, is this the front or this is the rear? I think actually like technically it's the rear, but I'm not an expert in how trains are designed. But like all of those things, like those are those great conversations because again, like there's no right design and
Yeah.
there's no like wrong. And if
Yeah.
anyone's teaching that, then like they're doing a disservice because part of having elements and principles is that you break them. and
Yeah.
you find other ones, and you're intentional with when like you're using them, because they're just part of how we understand how humans perceive things. And so I think that this is actually the richness of this kind of work is in the conversation with the students of how they interpret the work.
And I love that that's why I added the screenshot of the entire post on Instagram talking about like leaning into the emphasis and movement, the daily intention designed for busy teachers. So the next one is also with her design series, and it literally is the coffee cup, savor the coffee. So Shira continues like this moment of her intentional design series navigating that mid-semester hustle. And I love this because I know best part of like walking onto campus in the morning was having that cup of coffee in my hand.
Yeah. You know what's really fun is that I don't, again, like, don't know how intentional this was, but like, we do not see what kind of coffee that the person's holding. And so if I had a clear glass cup with and just pure black coffee,
Mm.
there's a bunch of people be like, oh, I feel bitter,
Yeah.
right? Instead, by not showing what's actually in the cup, we all project and bring what we want in the cup. Do you get what I mean, Anne?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like again, every choice a designer makes has an impact on the user, or the user, sorry, I should say, on the viewer.
Yeah.
And like, it's the amount of intentionality you bring to that.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have one more from the community. This is Steve Jones, who is a maths teacher, lead practitioner at UCC in Rutland, an incredible innovator out of the UK. And there was this really cool series. There were three pictures. One was mathematical thinking, one was like a sports chalkboard with the X's and O's and movement. And then this one, and I love it because I was a soccer player. Calculate the curve and the way the arrow like is layered and structured. There's some really cool hacks going on and layering in this picture, but I'm reading the text from upside down or
Mhm.
from like the bottom to the top and following the curve, and that's the motion my eyes take. So I'm
Yep.
curious like your take on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is if I seeing this without the arrow, I think would have exactly the same impact, because our minds would create that curve for us because you set them on there. We already like we know what direction the foot's going in. We can imagine it's going over like the players. We know the sport. So again, the user again brings a lot of, or the viewer brings a lot to this. But this is actually where it's great to think about movement, and like where like a line does intentionally move things, and there's a lot of lines in here, and that's
Yeah.
actually where it's helpful to be like, we have two strong horizontal lines that actually divides the composition in three different parts.
Hmm.
We have like grounded in the green, then we have our players, like our most dynamic busy one is right in the middle, then we have some like light space where we've got those people in the back that's black. And so it keeps you like very centered on like what is happening in the side of the composition, and then that big arrow takes you kind of around. And so all of these things are really fun because there's no right or wrong answer in these.
Yeah.
They each get something else. And what I think is great is that each one of these creators shared these, so there's a sense of pride.
Yeah.
And like, what I love about what Express does is it democratizes the ability to create for so many people. You don't have to have a degree, you don't have to be a specialist in this, but you still get to create and build success. And that's what we wanted with these series of guided activities, was to help people who maybe don't want to become a designer but still have that impact
Yeah.
of knowing like why they would make a certain choice and be able to articulate it.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, from Claudio sharing his, Eve sharing student examples, shout out to Autumn, the awesome creator who did that badminton picture, Shira, and of course, Steve. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that was part one. That was the February guided activity in this design challenge, and y'all just launched the brand new one for March. I can't believe it's March now,
No,
but
me
that
neither.
first pole position, that first tile when folks launch into Adobe Express. Rebecca, I love every beginning of the month because I'm so excited to share this. And this one is super cool. We talked about hierarchy, and we're going to jump into this one, but there's like three possibilities in this. And just so you know, as we jump in, I'm going to pepper in some questions for you because I want to pick your like design brain while we do this.
Absolutely. So we have, this one's really fun. Everyone loves designing a t-shirt. That's not, there's like I don't think that there's, when we've done this, like our ugly sweater, when we do 12 days of creativity is always the highest, like one that's clicked on fashion is a part of our self-expression. It's who we are. And so getting to create something. And so what was really great is that Christina and Tanya designed this along with Jess, worked on this on the team. So they've all worked together. And so we have 3 different starting points. And so like, first of all, we were all alive I was alive in the 90s. Were you alive in the 90s, Anne?
I
I'm not really
sure
sure. You were
was.
alive in the 90s too. Okay, great. And so like there is a resurgence of like really liking 90s aesthetic. So this is definitely Saved by the Bell. Shout out to anybody who remembers like Zach Morris and that whole world. I lived that world, love that world. Then we have one that's a little bit more of a grunge play. So like I get different aesthetic. I had my moment with all my plaid shirts and Doc Martens and big jeans.
Same,
Had that
same.
fashion moment. Yes. So this is our homage to that space as well. And then finally, we have another starting point, which is a little bit more hip hop of a vibe, a little bit more streetwear. And so this is our chill out one. So again, they're all just starting points. And what I love about this is we're not asking anyone to start from a blank canvas. So it's not like, okay, make a great t-shirt design, go. And then you have to hunt down the different pieces. So all the elements, you can always bring in your own elements, but they're here at the bottom for you to play around with. So I'm going to go with this first one because I really wanted to be Kelly and Saved by the Bell. And that was like, so I'm going to do that. And again, over here, for those of you playing at home, we have a full on video that talks all about learning about balance in design and does a really great job. So it's a great thing to even have your students watch. And then we have our instructions down here that you can like click on and see each one of the things and how we're intentionally showing balance. But we're going to go ahead and just dig right in. So like, I love the roller skates, but let's do our own design. So what I like to do first is I'll probably just like we're going to start with 1 or 2 like elements. So I like the skates. So what I might do is like, I just move things kind of like off to the sides and I can grab things and edit them. So right now, if I click on this, before my edit menu used to pop open, Adobe was like, that was distracting for a lot of people. So what they did was they've kind of stopped that from popping out. So now if I want to see it, I can click this little edit button when I click right here. So now it pops out and I can see this. So actually, I kind of like this grid. And it's down here as well. So if I wanted it, I could bring it in. But I think I'm going to change the color on it. So I'm going to go over here into effects and we can actually use the duotone and hack this out. What color should this be, Anne?
Oh my
What's our
gosh,
base
I'm
color?
so into like ultraviolet. So hot pink, hot purple. But
Pink. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to go custom. Actually, let's go here. Let's go to a swatch. Let's find a pink. I like to do is I start with the color. I go into custom and I want to hot pink that thing out. I like that.
Yep.
So if you want it to be like one singular color, you can go into highlights and actually just do the same thing. So it's color, and that's how you can hack that out. So I'm going to do this, maybe make it just a little bit smaller, slightly like have a place to break. Okay, great. So we've got our grid in here. And this is what's great about this. I'm going to delete everything else because we can pull those in later. Sometimes just starting off with something. I do like these roller skates, but like, let's delete that next.
Yep.
So it's nice to have like, what is your ground? Where are we going to start for this? So that's one way to approach this. Another great way to approach it is like, which object do I want to start with? And I'll build everything around it. Either way is really great, but I kind of like to start with ground because that's actually kind of creating like my environment that I'm going to be composing things on top of. Okay.
Yeah.
We also have some like letters. So do we think we want to have like say like a really big a big word on this? Should this be like big text based? Or do we
I
want to
mean,
start with a big object?
I say rad. I said rad when I was a kid in the 90s. I still say rad in my older years, but something as simple as that makes a very big punch, even though it's a very little word.
Love it. Rad. Okay, so they've chosen this font. Of course, I can go here into edit and I can go and change into like a more rad font if I want to. This is going to, got it, describe my font. So here, I'm looking around. I'm trying to think of something that's going to be a little bit more. Oh, does that
Oh,
feel kind of 80s?
yeah.
We like that. I like that. I also
Yeah.
kind of like that it's hanging off the end there a
Yep.
little bit. All
Yep.
right, so we've got rad. We can also change the color. I think we need to go back with that pink again. But I need that custom pink. I'm gonna brighten that up a little bit. So I like that I've got like pink on pink. That's kind of fun.
but also like playing with the color of that made it pop in a whole other way. So even the monochromatic like aspect of it, but the word stands out. And I would have never thought to overhang it a little bit, but I love that.
It's kind of working, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we can actually, we can make that happen a little bit more. We can play around. We can also decide, so this, we can also be like, we don't really want a square. We actually want this to be more of a rectangle. So I can change this to change the crop on this, because maybe what we want is like, just like it off to the side. I don't like where it's cropping for myself. So that's where like, I'll go in and just tinker just a little bit. There we go. So that's kind of fun. But what I didn't do, what I should have done, let me do this. I'm going to go Command Z, 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 because we had something that was successful. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to duplicate. I kind of might want to go back to that for original red. So now I'm going
That's
to
the
go back
power of the
and crop.
undo, Rebecca, too, which I remember talking with my students about. Like, don't be afraid to click buttons because you can always undo it. But what she's doing now, folks, if you're sharing this or coming back to it, working with your students, duplicate the page. That way, all of the iterations, you have your original starting point and tons of possibility to play. I love that.
Exactly. And that's actually what I really had to get on with my students about, was
Mhm.
that they would do this work and then they would abandon it. And it's like, don't like, well, let's go back. We might want that later. So like, and it's not costing you anything to
Yeah.
duplicate. And so like, now we can go back because we might be like, actually want to go back to the starting point, but it also makes me just a little bit more courageous
Yeah.
because I couldn't decide between the two and I'm still not sure which one we should do, but now I have both of them. And so like when I think like, okay, just duplicate it, try something else, that's actually where I think you can find some of your best work because you'll be more creatively courageous than like, oh, I know this is working. I don't want to try something else because this might end up being the best design. So I'm going to pull this over here.
And I love actually, again, playing with the balance of it. Like when you think about visual balance, are there like misconceptions people have, or what do you think, or should people focus on something first?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we talked before. So like all the principles go together. So like
Okay.
right now, if you fuzzy your eyes and you're looking at this t-shirt design, what's the first thing that you see, Anne?
I mean, to be honest, like I'm starting with the letter R, and I think it's because I'm reading left to right, leading left to
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So right now it's rad, right?
Yeah.
So if I go to this other design and actually I centered this, what are you seeing first?
I mean, the checkerboard
You're
pops to
kind of
me.
seeing a big square. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that thing is kind of smushed in between. And
Yeah.
it's not right or wrong either way. It's just like again, it's like what do I want people to see first? And
Yeah.
so this is actually I think the thing that's really fun to kind of play around with. I'm looking at this and I'm almost like, now I'm kind of tired of the checkerboard. I want to play. I like this little guy. I think I want something. So the checkerboard's cool, but what the issue with the checkerboard is that it's very it's geometric. And
Yeah.
so it's just very like it's like it's holding me. And I want something maybe a little bit more dynamic. And so this really cool like little I feel like this is like what my entire fashion looked like in like the 90s, to be honest. I think I have this t-shirt somewhere. So it's feeling very familiar. What's cool with this again is that this is I can change like we can change the duotone on this.
Oh yeah.
And I can go here and like again, like maybe we want this to be pink again. So I can start off with the pink. I'll do my duotone. I'm going to change pink again. But like I can also then decide that I want to play around. If I go back to edit, I can play around with the opacity. I can make it like almost like a little bit like worn down. That's kind of a fun thing to do. And so that's like that looks almost like a little bit like things were like we had like lots of like worn t-shirts. So again, like where I put this is like now I kind of like this. It's like the rad is sort of popping off. We can
Mhm.
add a few other elements. This is very much feeling like we're at. Would you remember the name of the place where everybody ate and Saved by the Bell?
Oh, the Max.
Yes. Doesn't this look a little bit like them?
I feel like this is time for a true confession. When I moved from Texas to California in the middle of fifth grade, I live in Southern California, not far from LA. You know, TV shows get made in LA. I actually went to a taping of Saved by the Bell when I was in the sixth grade, and I loved it. So I wanted to hang at the Max. I wanted to go to Bayside High, and I'm feeling all the nostalgia with this design.
Right. I love that. I can't believe so you this is like true confessions. You've never shared this to us before. I can't believe I've known you this long and you'd never like that was the first that's you lead with a story like that, Anne. You don't hold that back. That's not a secret story that somebody finds. So I'm like, I have all these cool designs that were brought in here, and I like this. This one is like this is kind of fun because it's like a spray painty kind of thing that I think I want to like add some like purple onto. I'm feeling like this is kind of cool looking. I'm not loving this squiggle. I just don't feel like it's working for me. So I'm just going to get rid of it. And I might look for something else, but I'm kind of enjoying what we've got going on here. What else do you think we could add?
So, well, I was just thinking like it's really cool because in a way, this design challenge also creates a safe space for people to begin this experimentation, right? So you're just pulling up these design elements that y'all have ready for folks, but from that very first iteration with the roller skates to what we have now, it's a completely different design.
Yeah.
So like I love that. I feel like I did like the lightning bolt. I'm having a hard time seeing whatever is that darker blue color if we turned it like with an aqua and
Yeah,
brought
let's go
up
for
the
it.
like warmth of it. Um, but I also think the squiggle just like as a 180-degree line under the D could add some there. That I
That
see
that
that.
that's happening, right? I like
Yeah.
that. I also think like so if I don't find what I like, I can always go over here into elements and let's do squiggle. Because there is, oh, we definitely are not liking that squiggle. I think I spelled squiggle incorrectly. There you go. There's no squoggle.
Listen, I cannot type and talk at the same time, so
This is beyond me. This is definitely not something that I should be doing. This is kind of a fun little squiggle.
that one. Yep.
I think that that's kind of cute. It
Yep.
almost looks like a bizarre little worm, but you can kind of go through. And what's fun is that you can look through these different pieces. My squiggles are here. I'm thinking like I feel like that like I want like a neon kind of squiggle because like this is the era of neon. And
Yeah.
so I feel like I want something that's like feels like a little neon glow. I know that last one kind of did. So as cute as if I can't find it, I can go back over here. I can grab this one. I feel like this one's maybe too snaky. I feel like it should be white. I
I
think
love that
that's
the description was a bizarre little worm though, because that's an epic description.
right. It is kind of a bizarre little worm. It's
And white, I
like
agree.
it was, so let's go white and white. I wish it were a little skinnier, but I think that that's kind of like maybe I put it a little bit behind. And so that's so right now I want this to show up maybe behind my rad. I'm going to go over here to my layers. I'm going to pop it off on top, and then I can kind of make my rad come up a little bit more. I don't think that's really working. So let's change it. I think it's maybe white is too much. How about we make it that kind of turquoise color again? And I think we had it here. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think it pops a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like this is fun. So like now we're at a place where we're kind of happy. Let's go back to our old design and like how can we make this one really cool too? And then we end up with two really great designs. And so like again, sort of balance on this.
Yeah.
Really thinking that like if I we with the design, we want to make sure that like we don't have all of the elements over on one side. It feels like too weighty. So we want to really intentionally make sure that we're creating interest across the design, but we're also still have like a really strong focal point and a strong emphasis. And so this one, I think this is cute. Let's try going back to here and seeing if we can make another design that we're excited about. So we have rad again. Let's try another, what's another word that we said in the 90s?
I mean, sick. I feel like, oh no, sorry. I needed dude.
Oh, dude, that's it. It's
Dude.
dude. It's dude. I think I said dude to my son recently, and he was like, "What are you talking about? Why are you
Dude
doing
is
that?"
all encompassing. Like,
Yeah, I think you know what, dude. You know what now everyone's saying? Isn't it like
oh,
Sigma? I think
oh,
that's the new dude.
that's a yeah. I sometimes ask my 8-year-old niece, what are all the trends? What's the trends? And she's at a K-8 school. So I'm just like, what are the big kids doing? What are they talking about? That's how I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve right now.
Yes, it's okay. So here we can do like kind of we could do something that's like feels very balanced. I don't love that. What else do we have here? Little phone. We got our sparkler pieces we can bring back in. And so what's
Yeah.
fun, we can turn this on. We can do like a duotone for this.
What's funny is that's the duotone color I have been picking anytime I'm playing with those roller skates because I love the greens and blues and aquas that pop in it. Um, that also to me, like yeah. Because I was gonna say the pink on pink I still love, but it was close to our other design. The monochromatic contrast with the checkerboard. And the ones that I played with Rebecca, I did the same thing. I just had the skates pop off of that grid
Yeah.
pattern so they stand out a little bit more. But dude, that shirt is rad.
Yeah, right. And so we've got, this is it. I want this. Let's see. I think I've got something. I want this to be white. Let's do white. And then I want this to kind of go up. So dragging this on top of these two pieces here. And then I'm going to rotate and break outside a little bit more. And I think then I want my dude to be just a little bit darker because it's like what's happening right now is if I zoom in, there's too many things that are light. I don't have the right kind of contrast. So if I bring this in, I can do an eyedropper tool to bring in, like, let's pull like one of our mid colors.
Oh yeah.
And that works, or maybe even just like a little bit darker. And it might be too dark on my black shirt, but let's see what happens if yeah, that's too dark. So this is it. This is what happens is we tinker until we get something that we're excited about.
But I love that because, like, as you play with it, that contrast is creating the difference. And we know that difference is what's creating our focus, right?
Yep.
Um, Again, these design principles, and you're speaking about the contrast, it's meant to communicate the difference and not necessarily just be for decoration, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what happens if instead it's meant to communicate, it's meant to like, I want everyone to see the dude. But right now, the only thing that I think is I'm seeing is because like, is this kind of imbalanced right now because the legs are so detailed and they're dynamic and they're blue and they're breaking everything up. How different is this if I click on my checkerboard? I'm going to change the effect. I'm going to duotone that and how different that is. Now my legs balance into the back. They kind of blend in. It becomes more of like a singular design element.
Yeah.
They're like the little white little squiggles, which I think are really great. They kind of pop off. I don't like, I like to breaking like around the different pieces in this. Right now, this is too much of a line with this one. So I probably
Okay.
rotate it a bit more. So it's a little bit more like dynamic. Looks like a kind of a pizza slice. That makes me think I want pizza. It's like, this is pretty fun. But again, like we could also take the dude, make it much smaller, make the skates really the word and
Uh-huh.
put dude down here. We could also, maybe this is like a brand and we want it to
Yeah,
sit at the
right
very
underneath it.
bottom.
So I have a question about contrast, Rebecca. Like, we know that it's what makes the design pop, but like in your opinion, how do you decide like when contrast is working or when it just makes a design noisy?
Yeah, I think the thing is that you want to, so contrast is one of those things that if we don't have enough contrast, then you can't say anything. It's
Okay.
like thinking back to the design that we had before, where like they made it a silhouette. They made the silhouette of the badminton player really dark, so we just focused on her outline. That's an intentional decision that we can make to make sure that like I'm actually like looking around her than looking like at her, and so she's actually like more of a shape
Hmm.
than she is like a
Yeah.
texture and everything else. And so what we want to do is we want contrast to help us support what our emphasis is and what we really want to focus on. So we bring in the right amount of contrast. So right now, because this is white, it's the highest contrast. I've got white on black, and it actually kind of almost balances out the very big, very busy design on top because it's so clearly defined. If we change even the font on this one, it's gonna give us something else. And so having this high contrast, I think helps play with the busyness that's on top.
Yeah.
If instead I take my dude here, and I make this the exact same color as my grid, then all of a sudden, like the highest contrast moment are those squiggles,
Mhm.
right? And so actually, then as a like the viewer reads the dude and the legs and the grid as like one singular kind of element.
Hmm.
right? Because because like they're all in the same kind of color, they're in the same color or color family. And
Yeah.
so now because like my outlier becomes this like little squiggle thing. So all of a sudden if I bring this down here, or what I could do is I could use pattern, be like I want to grab a few of these, I can copy paste, move these
Oh,
around, and all of a sudden now I've got this as like an element that I'm playing around with. And I should have this whole time when I've made each one of these changes, I should have been duplicating. But I can play around with size. Now I'm playing with pattern as well. So I've got pattern of the back. I've got something here. And it's actually, if I make these even smaller through space, like I now have, it's 1, 2, 3. So I'm creating a movement of these like little pizza slices throughout my composition as well. So going from where we were before to this, and actually like, I think it was a successful t-shirt before we did this. I think it's fun if we do this now. And we go back to our rad one, completely different design, different elements. Here, we're saying like the contrast, the highest contrast right now in this is that little squiggle,
yeah.
right? And it's a like, so I feel like it's, I don't know if I think it's adding. If I take it away, is like I might miss it, but is it helpful? So let's do this. Let's duplicate. You lead us to the next thing. I'm going to duplicate this whole page. And let's see if we can. So 3 little dots. I click duplicate. Now I've kept my original design. I'm going to play around. I'm going to try to bring the pizza, so my little squiggle pizza slice in.
I love it. And you know what's kind of funny? And I think as I play with things, I always default to the like a really I can't even talk right now, a really bright, bold text. So I always start with a white font, and sometimes that just grabs like it grabs like the attention right away. But I'm so curious, like you use that word intentional, and I don't know that I'm intentionally putting a white font in, but do you have any habits or mindsets like that you consistently default to help your designs feel intentional? I'm so curious.
Yeah. So what when I teach design, I actually have my students only work in grayscale. And
Okay.
so that actually helps with the whole contrast. So actually, if we started off, we like let's duplicate this. Let's start. We're gonna cleanse our palette. I'm just gonna get rid of everything. I'm gonna take away my effects. I'm just gonna do like grayscale. Um, I in my theory of this is that color can really impact how we see things. We just know this. Like we have visceral reactions to color, sometimes from memory, sometimes just of like how the contrast in color or like the chroma, how it hits us, how it's
Yeah.
printed. And so a good composition works in grayscale and it works. And so like, because again, even in grayscale, you have from like the lightest light to black. So we're actually working with at least like 9 different tones. And
Yeah.
so if it works in that, then I would say bring the color in because
Okay.
color can be like, we look at this one, it's like, this may or may not be working, but it could be because of colors. So actually, if I take this composition, I could grayscale this, or we can start from scratch with something. And then we're like, okay, like let's make this whole thing work. And I'm going to we'll bring in my rad. Um, let's do a slightly, oh, I grabbed the wrong thing. That's the
That's
best part.
also, Rebecca, really cool as you're grabbing those and switching them over to the next design. I, of course, had never thought about it, but creating in grayscale is like a brilliant practice to also see how everything flows. Tubular, another good choice. Well done.
I don't even know if I use this. I just feel like this was in films.
Yeah, but
Like
it's
this is
such a
like
good one.
okay, so something I really like that's happening right now that I wouldn't have noticed with color is how like my little squiggles are intersecting with this
Yep.
line. I've actually
Yep.
kind of lined this up. It's sort of fun. And I can kind of tweak it a little bit here with my little arrow. So like
I
zooming in
noticed
and zooming out. So like now, like what's happening in this that's kind of fun so far. We
to
could play
me,
around with the font.
yeah, to me, that I love this in a grayscale because I love how the like zigzaggy pattern on the left side and the triangular piece. I'm all about symmetry. And like I kind of have this tendency to love symmetrical, like everything. And so for me, they're different enough that you have the distinct visual. Okay, that font, perfect choice in my opinion. Um,
All right.
but the extension of the little squiggly triangle off of that line of the zigzag piece, I love that. I would wear that shirt now. Gonna
I
get
know,
it
right?
printed. You'll see me in 2 weeks. That's my new top.
Not even with colors on it. So like now I feel like we actually have enough of something going on down below this. Let's throw this on behind. Here we go. And I'm gonna actually take away the color. I like that this brings like an organic kind of element to
Yep.
these pieces. So I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna take away, I'm gonna make this a grayscale as well. Actually, I'll go ahead and make it a duotone so I can say like this should be like a darker color. Let's do that. And so now I have some, this like, so I would say like, this is probably a pretty successful design. It feels actually balanced. We've got this very like dynamic shape over here. And then like because these lines are going like this on this top part,
Yeah.
it's creating tension. And it's actually like, remember every line and eye movement and things, this is that movement again. They're pointing into the center of the design. This is why it's feeling balanced to you. And they're also pointing up. So actually we've created like up and up. And so we're going to the very center. And in that, and it's fun because this is happening with a texture and
Yeah.
this is happening just with a shape. And then we have this, like we have our word. And then I think actually like this fun little squiggle along this is kind of grounding it. And it's
Yeah.
something that's organic and it's kind of breaking up some of like the pointiness of the other pieces. So
Yeah.
now what we do is we can actually take this and we can add color. And this, so we're happy with this. So this is actually how I taught all my design classes. I didn't let my students have color until they were done with their designs. I know. And like, first they hated me. And then like, actually it helps us make decisions because there are so many variables in a design. And it's like in science. When you have too
Yeah.
many scientific variables,
Yep.
you don't know what you're testing.
Yeah.
And so removing color allows you to like really focus on what it is that's working.
Well, I love it. Rebecca, adding color is probably the last thing we're going to get to because we're going to wrap here in a few minutes. But while you're starting to play with that, folks, remember you can always find these design elements. They're guided activities inside of Adobe Express for Education. And this part two is the March Design Challenge. So you click right in to that main screen, that very first top corner tile is where you'll find it. And look at how beautiful that design looks. Yeah, Rebecca's showing on screen right where you can find it. But Rebecca, adding in those colors, I do like it in grayscale, but I love how you just colorized it and show how perfectly it ties together with that aqua teal and then the like underline of that pop of pink.
I feel like I could wear this and be in the background on Saved by the Bell.
You
I
totally
think that
can.
they would hire me. I think I
You,
could get this t-shirt.
Done, done. So, folks, oh my gosh. Okay, this is so cool. Rebecca, do you have any like other, kind of like inspiration or I love that this challenge, there's like no right way to just get started, but
Yeah.
just start and iterate and design and play. I always love like a play-based learning opportunity. What's maybe a final thought or some encouragement you want to leave the viewers with?
Yeah, I would so I think like my philosophy is always just when you're first starting off with the design, don't spend too much time in it. Give yourself 2 or 3 minutes. And so we would talk about this in my classes with my students. We'd be like, when you're first iterating, spend it 2 to 3 minutes because you don't want to make anything too precious too soon because you won't walk away from something that's become precious to you, even if it's not working. So I was saying like, hey, spend 2 minutes on this, duplicate, new something else, duplicate something else. So I would say like in 30 minutes, I'd want my students to go through 5 to 7 designs. And if I'd walk around and I'd see them too long on a design, I'd be like, I see a puppy because puppies are precious and we don't want to let go of puppies. And so I was like, no puppies until after we've like gone through our first round of feedback. So when you're first starting off, don't make any puppies. Don't make anything too precious that you're so attached to because something even better might happen in another iteration. So keep yourself nimble, try something, go, I like this, duplicate, try something else. Then you go back, look at the whole picture because right now we can actually come in and we can actually see all of our designs together. And
Yeah.
I'll close out the instructions and we can really decide like which one we think is more successful. It's like right now, if we're going to print one, like which one, and we could get feedback from people and then we could go back in and then we're like, okay, we really like this tubular design. Let's really make it precious now. Let's spend more time in it. So that's my biggest suggestion is Spend just a little bit of time when you start iterating, make a bunch of ideas, and then pick one or two to bring forward to make them to be precious puppies, but no puppies in the first iterations.
Okay, that is brilliant advice. I know I was inspired by that. I know the folks listening in and anybody who catches this on replay. Rebecca, it's been totally rad to have you. And dude, I learned so much. So, these design shirts, folks, listening through this, we hope this sparked new ideas for you. And we can't wait to see what you create. If you share it, please tag us on social. We use that Adobe EDU creative hashtag. And of course, folks, we love connecting with you on our edu.adobe.com platform. There's insights, ideas, resources from the community for the community. Um, you can, of course, find links to get connected and become an ace leader there. Y'all, we love learning with and from you. Rebecca, I feel like I just got like the pro class with our design expert. It was so fun to see you kind of think out loud, play, iterate, and think through what design possibly can be. I want to say thank you for joining me on this Adobe Live Education Edition. I'm stoked I get to see you in person at an event in a couple weeks. But folks, hit subscribe. This Adobe Live community, YouTube family. There's so many dynamic learning opportunities, and we can't wait to see you next time. Rebecca, I want to say the final goodbye.
Yeah, thank you so much. Keep creating, keep making mistakes, and please share it back with us. We love to see all of your brilliant work and your students' brilliant work. So can't wait to see you at the next one.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Thanks, Rebecca.